It is December 12th, 2023. We're here on the rooftop of the house located at 3708 Hawk Street in San Diego, California, 92103. We're going to inspect the main sewer line. So we're on the second floor rooftop because there are no cleanouts that are accessible on the property. There is one down on this side of the property at ground level, but it's buried in the stucco. So the stucco would have to be cut, and then the metal plug cut out, and then access from there. So not anything that could be done today, being that the home is for sale and this is for the buyer. So we're going to go ahead and attempt to get out through the entire system here from the second story roof vent. It does appear to be the original 3-inch cast iron vent, or at least original cast iron piping was installed even with the addition on top. So as we go down here, some bugs. Here's where the toilet dumps in right here at this T-junction. So you can see it's must have been done quite a long time ago, this addition for the second floor. So we're going all down this vertical pipe right here. Now we're transitioning, a little bit of a turn right there. And here's our turn into the true horizontal right here. So we're now in the crawl space of the house. Original cast iron pipe. We could see from one of the vents on the little side of the house. And the home inspection was already done. They did not note any type of major cracks, breaks, or anything leaking. A little T-junction right here. So overall, so far, this horizontal pipe looks really good for the age of the cast iron. It's very round. A lot of times you'll get the bottom being very flat with a lot of scale buildup and channeling that occurs on older cast iron. But inside here, we're looking relatively good. I mean, small amounts of buildup and scaling, but very, very minimal. Nothing that needs any type of cleaning or attention. So we're basically looking, of course, for any big cracks or breaks that are obvious. We're looking for any debris that should have been flushed down, be it construction debris or any objects. And as we get outward, we're looking, of course, for any root intrusions, offsets, or misaligned pipes. Looks like we have a T-junction on the right-hand side right there. Kind of got a little ovalized, some buildup. That might be where the kitchen dumps into the line right there. Then we have a little turn on the system right here. You can see there's a T-junction right here making a left turn. So there we go. So you can see here on the bottom left, a little bit more buildup, channeling, some scaling. But again, sometimes none of that's going to cause a problem on the system for the flow of any debris down the pipes. We don't know how long the unit's been vacant for, but if we don't see tons of paper or debris clogged up anywhere either, then we're usually not concerned about small, minute buildup and little mounds on the pipe like you'll see. So you can see here the pipe's got just, again, a little bit less roundness to it. The bottom of the pipe is a little flatter with some scale and buildup on there, but that doesn't mean the pipe's not completely functional and not going to have any issues with that. They are running old school toilets here right now that are using a lot of water, so that also, of course, helps compared to new toilets that are down to only 1.28 to move debris with a lot of water volume through these long runs of cast iron that might have some little undulations to them. But overall, again, we're not finding anything in the cast iron that raises any type of big alarm bells. Little choke down there, a little bit of buildup. We've got a turn right here. See a little bit of mounding here on the bottom left-hand side. Over time, if some of that has to be cleaned up, that has to be done with a hydrojetter or a chain knocker. Typically, we try not to do that from a second-story roof, though. With the hydrojetter, a chain knocker couldn't be done from this rooftop. It would have to be all hydrojetted out. A little bit of build-up here in the pipe, definitely choked down just a little bit, but still functional, not a problem. Okay, looks like we have possibly our turn on the line. We may be at the property line right here. So we're about 80 feet out, and it appears that this is a T-junction, so you can see the top of the pipe has that curvature to it. That would be the opening for the original property line clean out. They never brought those to surface in the old days, so it'll go up for a buried clean out, and then it'll make the downward turn to then continue down, usually go across the sidewalk or near the curb, and then head out the rest of the way. We're going to have to run some water. We may or may not be able to make this. We can't tell if this is a full 90 or a Y, which gives us a 45-degree turn. But at this distance and with the amount of turns we've already made, we're not going to possibly be able to get past this point without running water. We may not even with it, but we're going to, of course, give it a try. We're going to go ahead and pause the video while we get the water running. And what we're going to do in the meantime, too, before we do that, we're going to leave our camera right here on the edge of this turn. We're going to go ahead and locate this on the property and mark this with some chalk on the ground or a flag or some paint, and see how deep the pipe is and where this is specifically at, so that in the future, in case anything does need to be done past this point, for access, then we can go ahead and know where to dig up to get to this buried clean out. Okay, so we have water running through the downstairs bathroom, kitchen, and laundry. We did locate this clean out. This property line clean out is about 4 feet in front of the sidewalk. The pipe, luckily, is only to the bottom where we're at right here, about 2 feet 3 inches deep. We have noted it's under landscaping bark. We've noted it with a green flag for the property line clean out at that 27 inches to the bottom of the pipe. So that junction there, again, is going up just a little bit, not much. So it's probably going to be closer to 2 feet. And in that general area where we have the flag is where that clean out top may need. But if the line with new low flow toilets and a lot of volume of debris going down happens to clog up, then that area that we marked in the front yard, that's where we'll need to install some clean out. So not just this property line, the vertical for this transitionary turn, but then 2 of them in front of that to access everything ahead of this 80-foot mark that we're at, so that the line could be cleaned out, 1 for a stoppage, or 2 to kind of descale and remove any of that buildup if it leads to any clogs after moving. We're not saying it's going to, but it's older pipe that just has some of that use. Has some of that buildup. So let's see if we can get by this with all this running water here. Yeah, see, this appears to be a full 90. So all we're doing right now is getting hung up on this immediate turn, even with our spring, which is quite long for this camera. But the stiff push rod that's behind here really won't make the turn. Most of the city of San Diego has been, over the years, redoing from the property line out to the street, some replacement and relining. So it is still the homeowner's responsibility to maintain this line from this point out to the city lateral junction, but we don't have any access points on this property, so it's unlikely that there's something going on beyond this point. They would have to be done anytime soon, unless there are some unknown roots in the system from some of the neighboring trees, the other properties that have gotten in the line and kind of clogged it up. But does not appear that we're going to be able to get past the property line to look from the city sidewalk out and into the street. The manhole cover is in the middle of the court, the cul-de-sac here, so there's probably a good another 40 to possibly even 50 feet if it goes all the way to the true manhole to look at the rest of the line for this house, but we can't say for sure how that city one junctions off. That's just where the manhole is. It doesn't mean that this line runs all the way across from there. So we're not going to be able to get past this point. We're going to go ahead and we'll turn the water off once we can get this past a little bit of this turn, if at all. Maybe we'll see anything for the little bit of pipe that's here hanging downwards. Not going to see much because it's going to retransition, and that's the other thing, is that after this 90 or this turn we're at right here trying to make, it's going to go vertically down to get deeper, and then there's going to be another second turn within just a few feet. So it's like a huge S-curve. So even if we can make this first one halfway decent, it's going to be almost impossible to make the second one out. So we're going to go ahead and pause the video and shut the water off just to see if we see anything past this little point here. Okay, so you can see with the water off, we're hanging down this vertical pipe here, and so you can see here there's also a little bit of mounding. You can see that the pipe is kind of ovalized. There's some buildup on the bottom of the line right here after this turn going down. But gravity and the vertical on this type of ovalized pipe with the scale and buildup and deposits, it's really hard for it to clog right here because gravity is really taking everything and just pulling it down. It's the horizontal sections when you have some channeling, mounding, and that scale and buildup of deposits, again, that's going to snag and slow debris from moving down the pipes when there's not water chasing it for a long period or enough of a period to dissolve it, break it apart, and flush it out. So we can't get past this point, but we're going to go ahead and move our camera down to ground level to show this spot that we basically couldn't get past, where we've marked it with a flag in the ground, so that in case in the future there's any issues, that's the spot that will need to be dug up to put in some clean outs for both, again, cleaning and for any stoppage purposes. So we're going to pause the video. Actually, you know what? We'll leave this on for a second. Let me pull this back right here, and let's pull this back up through this turn right here, and then we're going to go ahead. So there's that clean out, vertical clean out junction there. We're going to go ahead and pull this back and just kind of show this one more time. So again, we don't think this is really that bad. We wouldn't put this pipe in a category that clean outs need to be installed out there, so that this can be chain knockered and hydrojetted to get this pipe re-rounded on the inside. But again, there's just a little bit, so it's not bad, but we just want to make everybody aware of that, because again, we know that right now they're using extremely high 3.6 or greater old school toilets that'll need to be changed out. So we got one little 45-degree turn there. So again, still not really that bad. Still looks overall nothing that we're overly concerned about here. Good long straight run right here. A little bit on the bottom right there, but not bad. A little bit of standing water right there. A little pocket, but it's minuscule. We've already pulled back 30 feet on this run. The turns slow things down as well. Liquid outruns and leaves debris behind, so it's good that we only had that 145 a few feet in, and we have this long stretch here of straight pipe, and now we've got the next turn. And you can see this next turn is a T-junction right here. So we pulled back about 35 feet, and so basically if you were to snake and clean the line, the snake hydrojetter or chain knocker would only come up to this point right here at this T, but the pathway that we're pulling back on, leading back to the sewer for the toilets and the 2 bathrooms, you wouldn't be able to continue that way because you can't steer it to make a right turn. You would continue down that T right here to the right side, which we assume is going to be catching the kitchen drain line, or they just used a T to make a turn rather than a fitting. But anyway, come back across here, you can see that little section right here, but that's the T junction, which we thought might have been the kitchen picking up here, but it could be this T right here. Again, it's impossible to know what they would have done. We can't go from the back side of it each way to determine each side of each T. But then we come back across here, and then we're just headed back towards the 2 bathrooms here for another little less than 20 feet, then we come up the vertical. So again, overall the pipe is in good condition. We give it a clean bill of health. We just again wanted to make note, as you saw in our first pass, of that little bit of channeling, some scale and buildup in some small spots, but overall we're not concerned about it. So we're going to pause the video, pull out the rest, and then show the ground level. Okay, so here's the green flag we put in the ground, and this denotes the property line clean out at 27 inches deep. That's to the bottom of the pipe. So again, it might be a few inches less than that to get to the cap. It's going to be kind of in a large area around there because of the angle the pipe might be placed. It may not be directly below that flag. You may have to dig out a few inches to the back area or side. So we put our tape measure out there. You can see we're 3 feet away from the sidewalk leading up towards the front steps. We're about 5 feet from the city sidewalk there, to give you a frame of reference. And then these couple discs that we laid out here, that's the path of the pipe itself headed. So this is the horizontal line headed along each of these discs until it gets to the flag and the yellow disc where it makes that vertical downturn that we cannot make with the camera. We could look down it, but we couldn't continue down there. So again, we only have a small tree here. Neighbor does have a big tree. So again, we can't say for sure if there's any roots in any of that line. Probably unlikely, again, since no clean outs here have been accessed or put in to help clean or maintain this system. So probably not an issue, but this is where the line would be dug up for clean outs to be installed if there was ever any issues, or also the property line clean out if it was beyond this point that there was a stoppage for some reason, because again, that is the homeowner's responsibility from here all the way out to the street. The city won't get involved unless a plumber attempts it, but they will only go from a property line clean out. So again, probably not an issue, but just so you have the markings and know where somebody would have to dig in the future, those are the spots right there for the pipe as well as the transitionary turn. So that concludes the recording for this property.